10. Positive habits that will rewire your mindset. Have you ever wondered why some people seem unshaken by life's storms while others collapse at the first gust of wind? It is not luck. It is not that they were born with a special gift. It is because they have built their lives upon a foundation of habits that do not merely get them through the day, but habits that shape the way they think, respond, and ultimately live. The Stoics understood that the mind is not fixed. It is malleable like clay, and every thought and action presses into it, shaping its form. They knew that if you want to live well, you must train the mind daily, because life will not wait for you to prepare when the challenge arrives. This is not about chasing motivation because motivation fades. It is about discipline. It is about constructing a mental environment that naturally produces strength, clarity, and resilience. You see, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thinking, and your thinking is shaped by what you do consistently. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." He did not say it depends on fortune or the opinions of others, or even on success itself, only on the nature of what you allow to live inside your mind. And the way you control that is through the habits you choose every day. So if you wish to rewire your mindset to break free from the patterns that keep you small, you must begin by focusing on the fundamentals. Imagine your mind as a garden. Every habit you cultivate is a seed. Some habits will plant weeds, resentment, fear, laziness. Others will plant trees, patience, courage, clarity. Over time, your mind will become the landscape you have been planting all along. And here is the truth: you cannot expect to grow fruit from seeds you never planted. The first habit you must embrace is the habit of morning reflection. Before the noise of the world begins, before you pick up your phone or step into the rush of the day, take time to align your mind. Marcus Aurelius began each day reminding himself that he would meet with selfish, ignorant, and unkind people, not to become cynical, but to strengthen his resolve. This simple act prepares you. It reminds you that no one can take your peace unless you hand it over. 5 quiet minutes in the morning can be the difference between reacting in anger and responding with wisdom. The second habit is deliberate focus. Seneca warned against scattering your attention because a distracted mind cannot achieve depth in anything. Today, distractions are everywhere. Your phone, your inbox, the endless scroll of news and entertainment. If you want to rewire your mindset, you must learn to guard your attention like a fortress. Decide each day what truly matters and commit to it fully. This is not about doing more, it is about doing with intention. When you live this way, you begin to experience the rare satisfaction of progress that is deliberate, not accidental. The third habit is daily gratitude. Not the empty kind, but the type that forces you to see clearly what is already in your hands. Gratitude is a mental filter. It sharpens your perception of abundance and softens your fixation on what is missing. The Stoics knew that wealth is not in possessions, but in perspective. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." By training your mind to see the gifts already present, you weaken the grip of envy, fear, and dissatisfaction. The fourth habit is practicing voluntary discomfort. It may sound strange. Why would you choose difficulty when life already brings enough of it? But the Stoics would fast sleep on hard beds, walk in the cold, not because they loved suffering, but because they wanted to train their minds to stop fearing it. Modern life makes us soft. We become dependent on comfort, and when it is taken away, we crumble. But if you regularly step outside your comfort zone on purpose, you build a mind that can remain calm when hardship comes unexpectedly. The fifth habit is intentional solitude. Not loneliness, but a deliberate stepping away from the crowd so you can hear your own thoughts. In silence, you meet yourself without distraction. You notice the patterns of your thinking, the quality of your emotions, and the direction of your life. Without this habit, you will live reactively, always pulled by the momentum of the world. With it, you begin to live intentionally, shaping your path from within. These first 5 habits alone, if practiced consistently, can begin to rewire your mind into one that is more focused, grateful, resilient, and clear. But remember, habits are not built in a day. They are carved into you through repetition, like water shaping stone. The Stoics did not expect perfection overnight. They lived by the idea of progress, not perfection. Each day is another chance to choose the better habit, to plant the better seed. Now you may wonder, what is the benefit of living this way? The benefit is freedom. When you control your habits, you control your mind. And when you control your mind, you are no longer at the mercy of every inconvenience, every insult, every shift in fortune. You become steady. You become unshaken, not because life is easy, but because you have trained yourself to meet it with strength. In this series, we will explore all 10 habits, each one building upon the last, until your mindset is no longer a product of chance, but a masterpiece you have crafted with intention. These are not abstract theories. They are practices rooted in both ancient wisdom and modern science. They are the bridge between who you are and who you can become. So if you are ready to begin, start small. Tomorrow morning, take just 5 minutes to reflect before the day begins. Decide one thing that truly matters and give it your full attention. Write down 3 things you are genuinely grateful for. Try one small act of voluntary discomfort, perhaps skipping the elevator for the stairs or taking a cold shower, and set aside 10 minutes for silence away from every device and distraction. Do this daily, and you will begin to feel the shift, not all at once, but steadily, like the quiet turning of the seasons. Your mind is your greatest asset, and every habit you choose is either sharpening it or dulling it. The Stoics left us a blueprint, but only you can choose to follow it. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The mind is not changed by a single revelation. It is changed by repeated acts of discipline. That is why we continue. The next set of habits are not about grand gestures or sudden transformations. They are about the quiet, steady work of building a stronger inner world. You will not notice the change in a day or even a week, but one day you will face a challenge that would have once broken you, and you will realize it no longer has power over you. That is the proof of rewiring. The 6th habit is the practice of measured response. In our age of instant communication, the temptation to reply without thought is almost irresistible. Someone says something offensive, and within seconds, you are firing back. But the Stoics knew that haste is the enemy of wisdom. Epictetus advised, if someone speaks ill of you, do not defend yourself at once. Instead, listen and reflect. By training yourself to pause before responding, you reclaim control over your actions. This pause is not weakness, it is mastery. It means you no longer dance to the strings of someone else's provocation. The 7th habit is seeking clarity before judgment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if someone does wrong, it is because they believe it is right for them. That insight changes everything. When you encounter behavior that frustrates you, your first instinct might be to label it as malicious or foolish. But if you train your mind to first ask, what is their perspective? What might I not be seeing? You open the door to understanding. This does not mean you excuse wrong behavior. It means you respond from a place of knowledge rather than assumption. In time, this habit saves you from countless unnecessary conflicts. The 8th habit is mindful consumption, what you feed your mind daily. Just as the body becomes what you eat, the mind becomes what you consume. If your days are filled with gossip, outrage, and trivial distractions, your thoughts will mirror that chaos. The Stoics were careful with their company and their reading, knowing that everything we expose ourselves to leaves an imprint. In modern life, mindful consumption means choosing your media, your conversations, and your influences with deliberate care. It means asking, will This make me wiser, calmer, stronger before letting it in. The ninth habit is purposeful journaling. For the Stoics, writing was not a luxury, it was a necessity. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations was essentially a personal journal, never intended for publication. He wrote to remind himself of the principles he wished to live by, to confront his own flaws, and to strengthen his mind against life's unpredictability. You can do the same. A few minutes of honest writing each day can help you process emotions, clarify your values, and reinforce the mindset you wish to cultivate. Over time, your journal becomes both a mirror and a map, showing you who you are and where you are going. The 10th habit is living by principles rather than moods. This may be the most challenging habit of all, because it requires a deep commitment to self-mastery. Moods are unstable. They change with weather, sleep, and circumstance. If you live according to how you feel in the moment, you will be inconsistent, unreliable, and often at the mercy of impulses. Principles, on the other hand, are chosen standards that do not shift with emotion. Decide what values define you: integrity, kindness, perseverance, and live by them, whether you feel like it or not. The Stoics valued virtue above comfort, and they measured their lives not by pleasure, but by fidelity to their principles. When you begin to live by these habits, you start to notice subtle changes. You find yourself less reactive in conversations. You feel a greater sense of clarity in decisions. You are less swayed by external noise and more grounded in your own compass. This is what rewiring feels like. It is not a sudden lightning strike, but a gradual alignment, like a ship turning slowly but surely toward its true destination. But I will tell you something the Stoics understood well: the world will test these habits. It will throw frustration, injustice, and temptation in your path to see if you truly stand by your training. And when it does, you will have two choices: to fall back into the old ways of reaction and impulse, or to stand firm in the discipline you have built. This is why habits matter. They are your preparation for the unpredictable. If you have listened this far, chances are you are not content with living reactively. You want to take the reins of your own mind and direct it towards strength and wisdom. So here is your challenge: choose one of these habits to focus on this week. Not all at once, just one. Practice it daily until it begins to feel natural, then move to the next. Over time, the accumulation will be profound. If you have listened this far, chances are you are, like me, no longer willing to live a life that just drifts by. Take a moment to reflect on the last 3 decisions you have made. Did they move you forward or hold you back? Answer this question in the comments below. No one else can answer it for you, and your future begins the moment you decide to act, even if it is just a small step. If you found this video helpful and meaningful, please consider sharing it. You never know, it might just change someone's life who really needs it. And remember to subscribe to the channel to receive the latest notifications. There is a moment in every day when you face a choice to act on the thoughts you have trained or to surrender to the habits you have abandoned. This is where rewiring the mind truly happens, not in theory, but in the heat of living. The Stoics were not philosophers of the library alone. They were warriors of the mind, testing their principles in the chaos of life. And in this part, we will move deeper into the next habits that can reshape the architecture of your thinking. The 11th habit is embracing voluntary discomfort. In a world obsessed with convenience, discomfort feels like an enemy. But to the Stoics, it was a teacher. Seneca would sleep on a hard floor once in a while, eat simple and tasteless food, and walk barefoot, not because he was poor, but because he wanted to train his mind to remain calm in hardship. Modern life offers endless comfort, but also breeds fragility. When you occasionally choose discomfort by waking earlier, enduring a cold shower, or tackling a difficult task without delay, you remind yourself that you can endure more than you think. This strengthens the link between your mind and your will. The 12th habit is detaching your worth from external validation. One of the deepest traps of the modern era is living for likes, approval, and applause. But Marcus Aurelius warned, the applause of others is a poor guide for your own soul. If your sense of worth depends on the reactions of others, you will forever be pulled in every direction. Train yourself to measure success by the effort and integrity you put into your actions, not by the recognition you receive. This is not a rejection of praise, it is the freedom from needing it. The 13th habit is reframing setbacks as training. Life will never give you a perfect run. There will be lost mistakes and moments when you feel you have failed. The Stoic mind does not deny this. It embraces it as part of the training ground. When something goes wrong, the question is not, why me? But how can this make me stronger? This is the mindset of a craftsman working on the sculpture of his own soul. Every challenge becomes a chisel stroke, shaping you into someone more resilient. The 14th habit is practicing gratitude for the ordinary. We often think of gratitude as something we feel after receiving something big like a gift or an opportunity. But the Stoics practiced gratitude for the smallest elements of life: the air, the sun, the ability to breathe, the presence of a friend. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings by reminding himself to be grateful simply to be alive. This habit rewires the mind to see abundance instead of lack, to feel rich in moments rather than in possessions. It is an antidote to the endless dissatisfaction our culture feeds on. The 15th habit is ending the day with reflection. Epictetus advised his students to review their day each night, asking themselves, what did I do well? What could I have done better? What will I do tomorrow? This is not about self-criticism, but about conscious improvement. Without reflection, days blur into one another and mistakes repeat unchecked. With reflection, each day becomes a lesson and your progress becomes visible over time. Imagine what would happen if these habits became your default setting. Instead of reacting to life with fear or frustration, you would approach it with calm readiness. Instead of craving approval, you would act with quiet confidence. Instead of being shaken by discomfort, you would move through it as a familiar companion. This is not an unattainable ideal. It is the natural outcome of consistent training. But remember, the mind resists change because it loves familiarity. Even if that familiarity is unhelpful, it feels safe. So expect resistance not from the world, but from within yourself. The key is to recognize that resistance as a sign that you are on the edge of growth. If you push through it, the old pathways in your mind begin to weaken and the new ones strengthen. Over time, the new habits become easier than the old ones ever were. If you want proof, look at your own past. There was a time when something you now do easily once felt impossible, whether it was speaking in public, learning a skill, or breaking a bad habit. At first, it felt foreign. Then, with repetition, it became second nature. That is exactly how rewiring works. It is not magic, it is practice. If you have listened this far, chances are you are not looking for quick fixes. You understand that the best version of yourself is not built in a moment but in 1,000 small choices repeated over time. So choose one of these habits today and live it. Not just think about it, and when you do not keep it to yourself. Share the impact with someone who might need it. Growth is contagious when lived out loud. If you have listened this far, chances are you are, like me, no longer willing to live a life that just drifts by. Take a moment to reflect on the last 3 decisions you have made. Did they move you forward or hold you back? Answer this question in the comments below. No one else can answer it for you, and your future begins the moment you decide to act, even if it is just a small step. If you found this video helpful and meaningful, please consider sharing it. You never know, it might just change someone's life who really needs it. And remember to subscribe to the channel to receive the latest notifications. There is a truth that few people are willing to accept. Your mind is already wired. It has patterns, preferences, and default reactions shaped by years of repetition. And the most dangerous patterns are not the obvious bad habits. They are the invisible ones you have stopped noticing. That is why rewiring is not a one-time decision, but a lifelong discipline. The Stoics understood this better than most, and they practiced it in small, intentional ways every day. In this part, we will explore how to take those habits from theory into the reality of your daily life until they become as natural as breathing. The 16th habit is living according to principles, not moods. This may sound simple, but it is one of the hardest mental disciplines to master. Your mood is temporary. It rises and falls with sleep, diet, stress, weather, or even the tone of someone's voice. Principles are different. They are your chosen laws, the compass that does not move when emotions do. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal to remind himself that it does not matter how he feels when he wakes up. What matters is whether he acts justly, courageously, and with self-control. When you train yourself to anchor your behavior in principle, rather than feeling, you gain the rare ability to be steady in a world that is constantly shifting. The 17th habit is mastering the pause. Epictetus taught that between every event and your reaction to it, there is a space. That space is where your freedom lives. Most people have trained themselves to react instantly through anger, defensiveness, or fear. The habit of pausing, even for a breath, rewires the brain to respond deliberately rather than impulsively. Think of it like the difference between a swordsman who swings wildly and one who waits for the perfect moment to strike. The pause is not weakness, it is precision. The 18th habit is deliberately seeking perspective before judgment. The Stoics had a mental exercise called view from above, imagining themselves looking down at their life from a high vantage point, seeing their current problem as a small dot in the vast landscape of existence. This mental shift drains urgency from trivial matters and gives you clarity on what truly matters. When you train yourself to zoom out before you react, you stop being a prisoner of the moment and start acting as the author of your life's story. The 19th habit is practicing restraint in speech. In an age where opinions are shouted instantly across the digital world, the ability to hold back words until they are ready is a superpower. Seneca warned that anger is often a product of hasty speech, and once spoken words cannot be recalled. Restraint is not about silence, it is about speaking with intention. A single well-chosen sentence can have more impact than 100 careless ones. Training this habit rewires your communication from reaction to creation. The 20th habit is cultivating joy in discipline. Most people view discipline as punishment, something harsh and joyless. The Stoics saw it differently. Discipline is the tool that frees you from chaos, the skill that creates space for peace. When you begin to find joy in the act of keeping promises to yourself, waking at the time you said you would, finishing the work you committed to, training your body, even when you do not feel like it, you stop seeing discipline as restriction and start seeing it as self-respect. That mental shift changes everything. Now imagine weaving these habits into your daily life. You begin the morning with principles in mind, so the storms of the day cannot pull you off course. You master the pause, giving yourself control over your responses. You seek perspective, shrinking problems down to their true size. You speak with intention, making your words count. And you live with joy in your discipline, finding meaning in the very act of self-control. This is not just mindset work, it is life architecture. But here is the hidden challenge. These habits will not feel natural at first. They may even feel forced. That is because your brain is used to a different rhythm. Every time you choose the pause over reaction or discipline over indulgence, you are literally rewiring neural pathways. Neuroscience now confirms what the Stoics knew from practice. Repetition changes the brain. Each choice lays a stronger foundation for the next. Eventually, what once felt like effort will feel like instinct. You will also face pushback from the world. People who benefit from your old patterns may resist your change. If you once reacted emotionally and now remain calm, some will accuse you of not caring. If you once gave your time freely and now guard it with boundaries, some will call you selfish. The Stoics warned about this too. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that he would meet people who were selfish, dishonest, or ungrateful. But their behavior, he said, should never control his own. Your rewired mind will be tested not in the quiet moments of practice, but in the friction of relationships. In these moments, remind yourself of a Stoic truth. The work is never wasted. Even if your new habit feels small, even if no one notices, you are shaping the invisible architecture of your character. And character, in the end, is the only thing you carry with you in every situation. If you have come this far, you are no longer just a consumer of ideas. You are becoming a practitioner. That shift matters. It is the difference between someone who collects tools and someone who builds something with them. So as you move forward, choose one of these habits and commit to it for a week. Test it in real situations. Write down what happens. Watch yourself change in the smallest details: how you speak, how you think, how you feel. These small changes are the seeds of a rewired life. If you have listened this far, chances are you are like me, no longer willing to live a life that just drifts by. Take a moment to reflect on the last 3 decisions you have made. Did they move you forward or hold you back? Answer this question in the comments below. No one else can answer it for you, and your future begins the moment you decide to act, even if it is just a small step. If you found this video helpful and meaningful, please consider sharing it. You never know, it might just change someone's life who really needs it. And remember to subscribe to the channel to receive the latest notifications. The 5th step in rewiring your mindset is perhaps the most underestimated: building a relationship with discomfort. Most people spend their lives running from it, avoiding anything that feels difficult, awkward, or uncertain. Yet the Stoics saw discomfort as the forge where strength is created. Marcus Aurelius trained his mind daily to accept pain as part of the human experience, reminding himself that the universe never promised comfort, only life itself. When you learn to lean into discomfort instead of avoiding it, you open doors that comfort will forever keep closed. Think about the last time you grew as a person. It was probably not during a vacation sitting on a beach with a drink in your hand. Growth rarely happens in those moments. It comes when you are challenged, when your patience is tested, when you are pushed beyond what you thought you could handle. The mind rewires itself under pressure, the way muscles grow under resistance. Every time you voluntarily choose the harder road, waking up early to train, having that difficult conversation you have been avoiding, tackling the task that scares you, you are not just completing a challenge, you are strengthening the circuitry of resilience. The 6th habit is practicing gratitude as a daily discipline, not as a mood. Gratitude is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about acknowledging what is already good, even in the middle of imperfection. Seneca wrote that no one is truly poor who can still be thankful, because gratitude transforms what you have into enough. Neuroscientists now confirm that regular gratitude practice changes brain chemistry, making you more resilient to stress and more focused on opportunity rather than loss. The key is to make it a habit, not just when you feel like it, but every single day, especially when you do not. The 7th habit is detachment from outcomes. This does not mean you stop caring about results. It means you stop letting results control your peace of mind. Epictetus taught that some things are within your control and others are not. You can control your effort, your preparation, your choices, but not the outcome. When you detach from the need for a specific result, you free yourself to act with clarity and courage, because fear of failure no longer chains your mind. Ironically, this often leads to better results, because you are acting from focus rather than desperation. The 8th habit is intentional solitude. In our hyper-connected world, solitude is often mistaken for loneliness. The Stoics saw it differently. Solitude is the space where you meet yourself without the noise of other people's opinions. It is where you can examine your thoughts, test your values, and sharpen your vision. Marcus Aurelius wrote his Meditations in solitude, not to publish but to keep himself aligned with his principles. In your own life, even 15 minutes a day of intentional solitude can reset your mental state, filter out unnecessary noise, and make your decisions sharper. The 9th habit is choosing contribution over consumption. Modern life is built to turn us into consumers, scrolling, watching, buying, reacting. The Stoics believe the opposite leads to a better life. A person's worth, they said, is measured not by what they take, but by what they give. When you make contribution a habit, sharing knowledge, offering help, creating something that benefits others, you shift your identity from passive receiver to active participant in the world. This rewires your mindset from scarcity to abundance because you start to see yourself as someone who adds value rather than someone who needs to take it. The 10th habit is reframing problems as training. Every difficulty you face is an opportunity to practice a virtue: patience, courage, wisdom, self-control. Epictetus compared life to a wrestling match. You do not get to choose your opponent, but you can choose how you show up to the fight. When you view problems not as punishments but as training sessions, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this preparing me for?" That single question can change your entire relationship with adversity. Imagine living with these 5 habits active in your mind. Discomfort no longer scares you, it challenges you. Gratitude becomes a lens through which you view life, not a passing emotion. Outcomes no longer hold your peace hostage. Solitude becomes a source of strength, not isolation. And every problem becomes part of your training. This is how mental rewiring takes root, not by occasional inspiration, but by consistent daily practice of habits that reshape your thinking at the deepest level. At first, the changes will be subtle. You may notice you are less reactive, more patient, slightly more confident in facing uncertainty. But over time, the effect compounds. Your mind will default to gratitude instead of complaint, action instead of avoidance, perspective instead of panic. People around you will notice the difference even if they cannot name it. And you will feel something rare in the modern world, a steady sense of self-respect that does not depend on what happens outside of you. However, you must be prepared for resistance. The old patterns will try to pull you back. The comfort of your former self will whisper that it is easier to skip the challenge, to avoid the hard conversation, to numb your mind with distractions. But each time you choose the new habit instead of the old, you weaken that voice. You build proof to yourself that you are no longer controlled by your past wiring. And one day, without even noticing, you will realize that your default response to life is stronger, calmer, and more deliberate than it has ever been. If you have listened this far, it means you are serious about change. So here is my challenge for you. Choose one habit from today's 5 and commit to practicing it every day for the next 7 days. Write it down, track your progress, see what changes, and when the weekends come back and choose another. This is how transformation happens, not in grand gestures, but in steady, deliberate rewiring. If you have listened this far, chances are you are like me, no longer willing to live a life that just drifts by. Take a moment to reflect on the last 3 decisions you have made. Did they move you forward or hold you back? Answer this question in the comments below. No one else can answer it for you. And your future begins the moment you decide to act, even if it is just a small step. If you found this video helpful and meaningful, please consider sharing it. You never know, it might just change someone's life who really needs it. And remember to subscribe to the channel to receive the latest notifications. The 6th chapter in Rewiring Your Mindset is about mastering the art of conscious response. In a world driven by instant reactions, tweets fired in anger, emails sent without thought, arguments ignited in seconds, the ability to pause before you respond is nothing short of a superpower. The Stoics understood this long before the age of social media. Epictetus taught that it is not events themselves that disturb us, but the interpretations we place upon them. If you can control your interpretation, you can control your peace. This habit is about inserting a small but powerful gap between stimulus and response, giving you the space to choose wisdom over impulse. Think of your mind like a clear pool of water. Every insult, disappointment, or unexpected problem is like a stone thrown into it. If you react immediately, the ripples turn into waves and the water becomes cloudy. But if you wait, if you give the sediment time to settle, the water clears and you can see the situation as it truly is. This is not passivity, it is strategic patience. You are not ignoring the problem, you are refusing to let the first rush of emotion make the decision for you. The second element in this chapter is setting boundaries without apology. Boundaries are not walls that shut people out. They are gates that decide what enters your life and what does not. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that he could be kind and firm at the same time. Many people struggle with this because they fear being disliked or judged. But the truth is, without boundaries, your life is an open field for others to plant whatever they wish. Some will plant flowers, but others will plant weeds. A well-defined boundary is an act of self-respect, and it rewires your mind to value your time, energy, and mental space as resources worth protecting. The third aspect is practicing radical honesty with yourself. The Stoics did not shy away from self-examination. Each night, Seneca would review his day, asking where he acted well and where he fell short. This is not about self-punishment, it is about clarity. Most people lie to themselves far more than they lie to others, because the truth is often uncomfortable, but avoiding it keeps you trapped. Radical honesty rewires your mind to operate in reality, not in wishful thinking. It is like cleaning a wound you cannot heal, what you refuse to see. The fourth element is learning to celebrate small victories. In a culture obsessed with massive achievements and overnight success, it is easy to overlook the small steps that make transformation possible. But the Stoics understood that a great life is built one decision at a time. Every time you choose to rise early, to exercise discipline, to resist an unhelpful impulse, you are laying another stone in the foundation of your character. When you consciously acknowledge these moments, you train your mind to associate progress with action, not with perfection. The fifth and final focus for this part is shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. Scarcity tells you there is not enough money, enough time, enough opportunity, and so it fuels competition, jealousy, and fear. Abundance recognizes that value is created, not just consumed. The Stoics believe that a person rich in virtue is never poor because their wealth is internal and cannot be stolen. When you begin to see opportunity in challenge, potential, in failure, and lessons in loss, you rewire your mind to focus on what can be built instead of what can be lost. Imagine applying these 5 mental disciplines in your daily life. When someone insults you, you pause instead of lashing out. When someone tries to overstep your boundaries, hold firm. When you make a mistake, you face it with honesty instead of denial. When you make progress, however small, you acknowledge it and keep going. And when scarcity tries to whisper in your ear, you answer with the voice of abundance. This is how a new mindset becomes not just a philosophy, but a lived reality. Over time, you will notice that you no longer get pulled into petty conflicts. You will feel lighter because you are not carrying the weight of resentment or false pretenses. Your confidence will grow not because the world became easier, but because you became harder to shake. And perhaps most importantly, you will start to trust yourself deeply. Trust that you can handle life without losing yourself in the process. But remember, transformation is not about perfection. There will be days when you react too quickly, when your boundaries blur, when scarcity creeps back in. That is not failure, it is practice. Every stumble is a chance to strengthen the habit. The Stoics did not demand flawlessness, they demanded persistence. The question is not whether you fall, but whether you get back up with more wisdom than before. If you have listened this far, it is clear that you are committed to becoming someone stronger, calmer, and more deliberate. So I will ask you, what is the one area where you most need to pause before reacting? Is it in conversations with your family and your work environment, or perhaps in how you speak to yourself? Identify it, write it down, and for the next week, make it your sole mission to master that pause. You will be amazed at how quickly it changes not just your mindset, but your relationships and your sense of control over life. If you have listened this far, chances are you are like me, no longer willing to live a life that just drifts by. Take a moment to reflect on the last 3 decisions you have made. Did they move you forward or hold you back? Answer this question in the comments below. No one else can answer it for you, and your future begins the moment you decide to act, even if it is just a small step. If you found this video helpful and meaningful, please consider sharing it. You never know, it might just change someone's life who really needs it. And remember to subscribe to the channel to receive the latest notifications. The 7th habit that will fundamentally rewire your mindset is learning the discipline of delayed gratification. In a world where everything is designed for speed, where food can be delivered in minutes, entertainment streams instantly, and social approval comes with a click, waiting has become a forgotten skill. Yet the Stoics understood that anything worth having requires patience. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly. The strength of your character, the depth of your wisdom, and the reach of your influence are all the results of what you are willing to wait for." The moment you train yourself to value the long term over the short term, you stop being at the mercy of every fleeting impulse. When you practice delayed gratification, you are essentially telling yourself, "I am in control of my desires. They are not in control of me." This is the opposite of what modern life encourages. Every advertisement whispers, "You deserve it now." Every trend tells you, "If you do not get it now, you will miss out." But here is the truth. Urgency is often a manufactured illusion designed to bypass your reason. The Stoics urged us to see beyond the immediate sensation and ask, what will this choice create in the future? This is not about self-denial for the sake of pain. It is about aligning your choices with the life you truly want. The practice starts small. When you feel the pull to buy something you do not truly need, wait 24 hours. When you feel the urge to respond to a message in anger, wait an hour. When you feel the temptation to quit because results are slow, remind yourself that real growth is invisible before it becomes undeniable. The longer you can hold off the desire for immediate reward, the stronger your self-mastery becomes. And over time, this rewires your mind to take joy in the process, not just the outcome. But delayed gratification is not only about personal discipline, it is about seeing time differently. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week, but underestimate what they can do in a year. Marcus Aurelius wrote daily, not because he expected a single page to change his life, but because he knew that a lifetime of such reflections would transform him. Small, consistent effort over long stretches of time is how great works, great minds, and great lives are built. Patience is not passive. It is a form of active trust in the process you have committed to. The second focus of this chapter is reframing failure as training. One of the reasons people give up too soon is because they misinterpret failure as a sign that they are not capable rather than as evidence that they are still learning. The Stoics were relentless in reminding themselves that obstacles are part of the path, not detours from it. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." If you want a resilient mindset, you must view every setback as a weight that is making you stronger. Think of failure like a sparring partner. Its job is to expose your weaknesses so that you can strengthen them. If you avoid it, you stay weak. If you face it, you evolve. The key is to respond to failure with curiosity instead of shame. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How can I adapt? Over time, this habit transforms the emotional sting of failure into the excitement of growth. You begin to see that every loss is simply a lesson you have not mastered yet, and every lesson mastered becomes a weapon in your mental arsenal. The third discipline in this habit is embracing voluntary discomfort. Modern life encourages us to avoid all forms of inconvenience, yet the Stoics intentionally practiced it. They would sleep on the floor fast for a day, or wear simple clothing not to punish themselves, but to remind themselves that comfort is a privilege, not a necessity. This rewires your mind to be less dependent on external conditions for your happiness. When you have experienced that, you can live with less. You stop fearing loss. And when you stop fearing loss, you are free to live boldly. Imagine the power of walking into any situation, whether it is a setback, a financial dip, or an unexpected change, and knowing I can endure this. That kind of quiet confidence cannot be bought. It is built through repeated exposure to challenge chosen on purpose. Voluntary discomfort makes you adaptable. It trains you to focus on what you can do rather than what you wish you had. And that adaptability is one of the strongest indicators of long-term success, both in Stoic thought and in modern psychology. The fourth mindset shift in this habit is learning to detach your self-worth from outcomes. Many people only feel good about themselves when things go according to plan. But life is unpredictable, and if your sense of value rises and falls with every success or failure, you will be emotionally unstable. The Stoics rooted their self-worth in virtue, in the character they demonstrated, not in the results they achieved. Results can be influenced by factors beyond your control. Your character is always in your hands. When you train your mind to evaluate yourself based on effort, integrity, and persistence, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster of external validation. You stop asking, "Did I win?" and start asking, "Did I act with excellence?" This is not just philosophical, it is practical. People who operate from this place are more consistent because their motivation is not fragile. They do not quit when the crowd stops cheering. They do not crumble when things take longer than expected. They know who they are and they act from that place. The fifth and final pillar for this chapter is cultivating a process over prize mindset. Modern culture teaches us to focus on the end goal, wealth, recognition, status. But the Stoics understood that if you do not love the process, the prize will feel empty. True satisfaction comes from knowing that you gave yourself fully to the work, regardless of the result. This mindset rewires your brain to find fulfillment in the act itself, not in the applause that may or may not follow. When you fall in love with the process, you become unstoppable. You no longer need constant proof that you are on the right path, because the path itself feels meaningful. Whether it is writing, training, building, or learning, you show up, because showing up has become part of who you are. The prize may come and it may not, but the process will always give you something valuable: growth, skill, resilience, and self-respect. So, as you reflect on this chapter, remember this: patience is not about waiting for the perfect moment, it is about working through the imperfect ones with determination. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the seasoning that gives success its flavor. Comfort is not your friend if it makes you weak, and your worth was never meant to hang on a scoreboard. If you can commit to the process with all your heart, the prize, whatever it is, will be a bonus, not the foundation. If you have listened this far, you already know that your transformation is in progress. But I will challenge you for the next 7 days. Choose one area of your life where you will delay gratification. Maybe it is holding off on unnecessary spending, resisting a short-term temptation, or pushing through one more week before making a big decision. Watch how it changes the way you see yourself. The power you will feel is the power of knowing you are no longer a servant to your impulses. If you have listened this far, chances are you are like me, no longer willing to live a life that just drifts by. Take a moment to reflect on the last 3 decisions you have made. Did they move you forward or hold you back? Answer this question in the comments below. No one else can answer it for you, and your future begins the moment you decide to act, even if it is just a small step. If you found this video helpful and meaningful, please consider sharing it. You never know, it might just change someone's life who really needs it. And remember to subscribe to the channel to receive the latest notifications. The power of present moment mastery. If there is one habit that can instantly shift the way you experience life, it is the practice of living fully in the present moment. The Stoics believe that the present is all we truly own. The past has already escaped our grasp, and the future remains uncertain. Yet most of us live as if the opposite were true, haunted by regrets of what has been or anxiously projecting ourselves into what might be. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." Not because the past and future are meaningless, but because only the present offers a space where action is possible. When you train your mind to stay here right now, you remove 1,000 unnecessary burdens. Worries about what could happen tomorrow dissolve because tomorrow is not yours yet. Regrets about yesterday fade because yesterday is gone. In this moment, you can act, speak, and think with clarity, and that clarity is the foundation for wise living. The first pillar of present moment mastery is awareness without judgment. Most people go through their day half asleep, running on autopilot. Their minds are tangled in thoughts, but they are not truly aware of them. The Stoics practiced constant awareness of their thoughts, but they did not condemn themselves for having negative or distracting ones. Instead, they treated their mind like a river. Thoughts flowed in, thoughts flowed out. The danger lies in grabbing onto a toxic thought and letting it drag you downstream. The art is to see the thought, acknowledge it, and let it pass. The second pillar is intentional action. Being present is not just about being, it is also about doing with focus. Imagine you are having a conversation with someone. You could be half listening, your mind drifting, or you could be fully engaged listening, not just to their words, but to their tone, their emotions, their pauses. The difference is profound. Being fully present turns ordinary moments into meaningful ones. It deepens relationships, sharpens your work, and makes even the smallest tasks feel worthwhile. The third pillar is releasing the illusion of control over the uncontrollable. Much of our anxiety about the future comes from trying to control outcomes that are not ours to command. The Stoics had a clear formula for peace: separate what you can control from what you cannot, and focus only on the former. The more you live in the present, the more you see how much of life falls outside your influence. That realization is not depressing. It is liberating. You no longer waste energy trying to shape the wind. You focus instead on adjusting your sails. The fourth pillar is savoring simple pleasures. One reason many people struggle to be present is because they underestimate the value of small joys. A sunrise, the taste of warm bread, the sound of rain against a window. These moments are easy to miss when your mind is somewhere else. But when you notice them, they become anchors to the present. Seneca often reminded himself that wealth is not measured by what you have, but by how much you appreciate what is already yours. The fifth pillar is using the present to prepare for the future without becoming enslaved to it. This is where Stoicism differs from pure mindfulness. The Stoics did not ignore the future, they simply refused to live in it. They used the present moment to take actions that would make the future better, but they did not waste the present worrying about what they could not yet act upon. It is the balance between foresight and presence that makes this habit powerful. Now let's be honest, this is not easy. The pull of the past and the lure of the future are strong. You might catch yourself drifting into daydreams or spirals of anxiety 100 times a day. But the point is not to stay perfectly present at all times. It is to notice when you have drifted and gently bring yourself back. Every return to the present is a victory. It is a small rewiring of the mind, a strengthening of the muscle that chooses now over then. Over time, something remarkable happens. Your days begin to feel longer, not because you have more hours, but because you are truly experiencing the ones you have. You stop rushing through your life as if the goal is to get somewhere else. You find joy in the process, even in mundane tasks, because you are no longer living them as a means to an end. And ironically, by living in the present, you often create a better future without even trying, because the actions you take are more deliberate, more skillful, and more rooted in reality. So how can you start mastering the present? Begin with micro practices. When you eat, just eat. Put away your phone, slow down, and actually taste your food. When you work, just work. Close extra tabs. Stop multitasking and give your task your full attention. When you walk, just walk. Feel your steps, notice the air, listen to the sounds around you. These moments of full presence might only last a minute at first, but they will grow longer as your mind adapts. The Stoics would also advise daily reflection, not as a way of living in the past, but as a way of clearing it from your mind. At night, review your day briefly, what went well, what could have gone better, and what you will focus on tomorrow. Then let it go. The next morning, wake up and remind yourself, today is the only day I have to live. I will use it well. Living in the present does not mean you abandon ambition, stop planning, or avoid responsibility. It means you stop carrying the unnecessary weight of time that is not yours yet. You plan for tomorrow, but you live in today. You learn from yesterday, but you act in today. This balance is what turns present moment awareness from a pleasant idea into a transformative habit. And remember, your presence is the greatest gift you can give to the people around you. A parent who is truly there for their child, a friend who truly listens, a leader who is fully engaged. These are rare and they are remembered. Your presence says you matter. This moment matters. And that more than anything else is what people carry with them long after words are forgotten. So here is your challenge for this week. Choose one daily activity and turn it into a practice of presence. It could be your morning coffee, your commute, your workout, or your evening meal. During that time, be completely there, no distractions, no multitasking, just full awareness. Notice how it changes your experience, and then slowly begin to expand that presence into more moments of your day. If you have listened this far, you already know mindset is not changed in a day. It is built piece by piece, habit by habit. And this one, the habit of mastering the present, may be the one that changes everything. Because the truth is, life is not lived in years or months or even days. It is lived in moments. And the more of them you are truly here for, the richer your life will become. If you have listened this far, chances are you are like me, no longer willing to live a life that just drifts by. Take a moment to reflect on the last 3 decisions you have made. Did they move you forward or hold you back? Answer this question in the comments below. No one else can answer it for you. And your future begins the moment you decide to act, even if it is just a small step. If you found this video helpful and meaningful, please consider sharing it. You never know, it might just change someone's life who really needs it. And remember to subscribe to the channel to receive the latest notifications. Embracing discomfort as a path to strength. If there is one truth that both the Stoics and modern psychology agree upon, it is this: avoiding discomfort weakens you, but facing it makes you unshakable. In a world that constantly seeks convenience, comfort, and ease, the very idea of willingly stepping into discomfort sounds counterintuitive. But the Stoics saw it differently. They believed that hardship is not a curse, it is training. Epictetus said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are. Without resistance, you cannot grow muscle. Without challenge, you cannot grow character." The first step to rewiring your mindset through discomfort is understanding the difference between pain that destroys and pain that builds. There is destructive pain, the kind caused by injury, neglect, or harm. That is not the kind we seek. Then there is constructive pain, the kind that comes from pushing your limits, breaking old patterns, and doing the hard thing even when you don't want to. This is the pain of growth. The Stoics willingly exposed themselves to moments of discomfort, sleeping on the floor, fasting, walking in the cold, so that they would be prepared when life inevitably stripped away their comforts. The second step is practicing voluntary hardship. This does not mean making your life miserable for no reason. It means occasionally and intentionally choosing the harder path so that you strengthen your willpower. Skip a meal and notice that hunger will not kill you. Take a cold shower and realize you can endure it. Walk instead of driving, even if it takes longer. These moments are like small deposits into a bank account of resilience. When a real crisis comes, a job loss, a breakup, a health scare, you will draw from that account and you will not break. The third step is reframing fear and stress as signals of opportunity. Most people feel fear and immediately retreat, but fear is often a sign that you are standing at the edge of growth. Think about the moments in your life that made you proud. Were they comfortable? Probably not. They likely involved uncertainty, risk, and the possibility of failure. The Stoics would say, lean into that. Discomfort is the forge in which courage is made. The fourth step is embracing emotional discomfort. It's easy to talk about enduring physical challenges, but what about the discomfort of telling the truth when it's easier to stay silent, or setting a boundary when it might upset someone, or admitting when you're wrong? These moments test you in ways no physical trial can. The Stoic path demands that you face them head-on, because running from emotional discomfort keeps you small. Facing it expands your capacity to love, to lead, and to live without fear. The fifth step is adopting the mindset that discomfort is temporary, but the strength it builds lasts. That early morning workout might feel endless, but it is over in less than an hour, while the discipline it teaches you shapes the rest of your life. That difficult conversation might make your heart race, but it ends quickly, while the clarity it brings could save years of misunderstanding. When you keep this perspective in mind, you stop seeing discomfort as an enemy and start seeing it as an ally. The sixth step is making discomfort a daily habit, not an occasional challenge. This is where the rewiring truly happens. If you wait until life throws you into hardship, you will be unprepared. But if you face small discomforts every day, you become anti-fragile, able to grow stronger from stress instead of breaking under it. You don't just survive challenges, you thrive because of them. The seventh step is finding joy in discomfort. This may sound impossible, but it is a subtle shift in perspective. When you feel that cold water hit your skin, instead of resisting, smile and think, this is making me stronger. When you feel the burn of a workout, tell yourself, this is the feeling of progress. The Stoics trained themselves to not only endure hardship, but to welcome it as a teacher. Over time, you begin to associate discomfort with growth instead of suffering. The eighth step is surrounding yourself with people who embrace discomfort too. Mindset is contagious. If you spend your time with people who avoid every challenge, you will unconsciously adopt their fear. But if you are around people who push themselves, who are willing to take risks, and who step into difficulty with courage, you will start to see discomfort as normal, even desirable. The ninth step is journaling about your experiences with discomfort. Each time you face a challenge, write about what you felt, what you learned, and how you handled it. Over time, you will build a personal record of victories, evidence that you are capable of far more than you once believed. This written proof will serve you in moments of doubt. And finally, the 10th step is remembering that discomfort is not the goal, growth is. Discomfort is simply the tool, the training ground. The goal is not to seek pain for its own sake, but to seek strength, resilience, and freedom from fear. The Stoics did not glorify suffering. They glorified the ability to remain virtuous and steady, no matter what life brought. If you live this habit daily, you will find that things that once terrified you now feel manageable. You will no longer avoid difficult conversations, hard work, or risky opportunities because you know you can handle the discomfort they bring. You will become less fragile in a world that constantly changes and more confident in your ability to adapt. Life will still challenge you. There will still be moments that hurt, but you will meet them with a steady mind and a strong heart. You will know that discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that you are alive, growing, and stepping into the full measure of who you can be. So here is your challenge for this week. Every day, choose one small act of discomfort. It could be physical, like taking a cold shower or doing extra exercise. It could be mental, like reading something difficult. It could be emotional, like telling someone the truth you've been avoiding. Do it deliberately. Notice how you feel before, during, and after. Then, write it down. If you have listened this far, chances are you are no longer willing to live a life ruled by fear and avoidance. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is your path to freedom. Step into it, and you will step into a version of yourself you never thought possible. If you have listened this far, chances are you are like me, no longer willing to live a life that just drifts by. Take a moment to reflect on the last 3 decisions you have made. Did they move you forward or hold you back? Answer this question in the comments below. No one else can answer it for you. And your future begins the moment you decide to act, even if it is just a small step. If you found this video helpful and meaningful, please consider sharing it. You never know, it might just change someone's life who really needs it. And remember to subscribe to the channel to receive the latest notifications. Living with intentional gratitude. There is a quiet strength in the person who wakes up every morning and before the day begins counts their blessings, not in a shallow or performative way, but with deliberate reflection. The Stoics understood that a mind filled with gratitude is a mind that is unshakable in the face of hardship. Marcus Aurelius began many of his meditations by reminding himself of the simple gift of being alive. In one entry, he wrote that he would soon meet people who were ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, and selfish, but that none of these things could rob him of his own good character. This is not blind optimism. It is an intentional choice to focus on what you can appreciate, even when life is difficult. The first step to rewiring your mindset with gratitude is recognizing that it is not dependent on circumstances. Gratitude is not something you feel only when everything is going well. In fact, the times when gratitude matters most are the times when life feels uncertain, when the future is unclear, and when problems seem to outweigh blessings. This is where the Stoic discipline of the mind becomes crucial. You learn to say, yes, this challenge is real, but so is the beauty of this moment. You learn to notice that even in difficulty, there are things to cherish. A friend who listens a sunset that reminds you of the vastness of the world, the strength you did not know you had until you needed it. The second step is making gratitude an active practice. Passive gratitude, the kind you feel only when something nice happens, fades quickly. Active gratitude is deliberate. It is taking time each day to reflect on what you value, writing it down, speaking it aloud, or quietly holding it in your heart. The Stoics would meditate in the morning and evening not only on the challenges they faced, but also on what they appreciated. By doing this, they strengthened their ability to see the good in any situation, a skill that becomes a shield against bitterness and despair. The third step is expanding your definition of what to be grateful for. Gratitude is not limited to obvious blessings like health, success, or love. The Stoics even found gratitude in adversity because it was a chance to practice courage, patience, and humility. Epictetus taught that you should not pray for things to happen as you wish, but to wish for them to happen as they do, and to be grateful either way. Imagine the freedom of that mindset to see every twist of fate not as an enemy, but as part of the journey that shapes you. The fourth step is practicing gratitude toward people, not just events. It is easy to thank life for a sunny day, but harder to thank the person who challenged you, corrected you, or even hurt you. Yet those people may have been your greatest teachers. When you see relationships through this lens, resentment fades and understanding grows. You may not approve of someone's actions, but you can be grateful for the lessons they brought into your life. The fifth step is aligning gratitude with action. True gratitude is more than a feeling, it is a way of living. When you are grateful for your health, you care for your body. When you are grateful for your relationships, you invest time and attention into them. When you are grateful for opportunities, you use them fully instead of wasting them. The Stoics believed that virtue was the highest good, and gratitude was meaningless if it did not influence how you lived. The sixth step is practicing gratitude, especially when it is hard. It is one thing to be grateful when the sun is shining and the path is clear. It is another to be grateful when the storm has taken everything you thought you needed. But that is when gratitude becomes transformative. It becomes a reminder that life still offers you moments worth holding on to, that you are still breathing, still capable of rebuilding, still able to love and be loved. This mindset does not erase pain, but it prevents pain from erasing you. The seventh step is avoiding the trap of comparison. Gratitude and comparison cannot coexist. If you are constantly measuring your life against someone else's, you will always find a reason to feel lacking. The Stoics warned against envy because it shifts your focus from what you have to what you do not. Gratitude redirects you to the abundance that is already present, even if it does not look like someone else's abundance. The eighth step is anchoring gratitude in the present moment. Many people postpone gratitude until some future milestone. I will be happy when I get the promotion. I will be thankful when I find the right partner. But the present is the only place life actually happens. The Stoics reminded themselves daily that the past is unchangeable, the future is uncertain, and the present is all you truly own. Gratitude is most powerful when it is rooted here in the now. The ninth step is integrating gratitude into your relationships. Express it freely. Tell the people in your life that you appreciate them not just for what they do, but for who they are. Gratitude strengthens bonds, deepens trust, and creates a sense of belonging that no amount of material success can replace. The Stoics lived in communities where mutual respect and appreciation were essential for survival, and the same is true today, even if our villages look different. And the 10th step is letting gratitude guide your perspective on life itself. When you see life as a gift, even with its hardships, your actions change. You complain less, you contribute more, and you approach each day with a sense of purpose. Gratitude does not mean pretending everything is perfect. It means recognizing that even the imperfections have value. If you cultivate this habit daily, you will notice that your mind begins to focus naturally on what is present instead of what is missing. You will become less reactive, less anxious, and more capable of meeting life's challenges with a steady heart. Gratitude is not weakness, it is a form of power because it frees you from the endless pursuit of more and allows you to find contentment right where you are. So here is your challenge for this week. Every evening, write down 3 things you are grateful for. Do not repeat the same list every day. Look deeper. Find gratitude for the small moments, the overlooked blessings, and even the challenges. Over time, you will train your mind to see abundance where others see scarcity. If you have listened this far, chances are you already feel the truth of this habit in your own life. Gratitude will not make your problems disappear, but it will make you strong enough to face them without losing yourself. And in that strength, you will find peace. If you have listened this far, chances are you are like me, no longer willing to live a life that just drifts by. Take a moment to reflect on the last 3 decisions you have made. Did they move you forward or hold you back? Answer this question in the comments below. No one else can answer it for you. And your future begins the moment you decide to act, even if it is just a small step. If you found this video helpful and meaningful, please consider sharing it. You never know, it might just change someone's life who really needs it. And remember to subscribe to the channel to receive the latest notifications. turning discipline into freedom. Most people hear the word discipline and think of it as a restriction, a chain that limits freedom. But the Stoics saw discipline as the very path to freedom. Epictetus was once a slave, yet he wrote about freedom more convincingly than most men who had been free their entire lives. How? Because he understood that true freedom is not the absence of constraints, it is the mastery of oneself. Without discipline, you are not free. You are a servant to your impulses, your fears, and your habits. Think of discipline as the craftsman's chisel. At first glance, it seems to take away from the raw block of stone, cutting pieces off. But in reality, it is revealing the masterpiece within. Every choice you make, every habit you cultivate, is shaping you into a certain kind of person. The question is not whether you are being shaped, but whether you are shaping yourself intentionally. Discipline gives you that power. The first truth about discipline is that it is not a punishment. It is a form of self-respect. When you choose to wake up early to work on your goals, you are telling yourself that your dreams matter. When you choose to resist a temptation that would derail you, you are affirming that your future is worth protecting. This is why Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Discipline is the daily expression of that power. The second truth is that discipline must be built through small, consistent actions. People fail at discipline because they try to overhaul their entire life overnight. But the Stoics understood the value of incremental progress. They knew that habits once formed become invisible forces that shape the way you live. Start with one promise to yourself, a promise you will keep no matter how small. Then expand. If you can keep a small commitment, you can keep a larger one. The third truth is that discipline is not about rigidity, but about alignment. It is not about punishing yourself for the sake of punishment. It is about aligning your actions with your values. If health is a value, then discipline is eating in a way that nourishes you and moving your body regularly. If growth is a value, then discipline is reading, learning, and seeking challenges instead of distractions. Without values, discipline becomes an empty performance. With values, it becomes a compass. The fourth truth is that discipline strengthens your ability to endure discomfort. The Stoics trained themselves to be at ease with difficulty, fasting from food, sleeping on the floor, or walking in the cold, not because they enjoyed suffering, but because they wanted to prove to themselves that they could live without excess. In the modern world, discomfort is often avoided at all costs. But when you train yourself to endure it, you become unshakable. Obstacles lose their power over you because you have already rehearsed hardship in smaller ways. The fifth truth is that discipline liberates you from regret. A life without discipline may feel easy in the moment, but it is full of silent regrets. The opportunity you did not take, the health you neglected, the relationships you did not invest in. Discipline requires effort now, but it leaves you with the satisfaction of knowing you lived intentionally. The Stoics valued this kind of peace more than momentary comfort. The sixth truth is that discipline creates mental clarity. When you have structure in your day, you reduce decision fatigue. You stop wasting energy on trivial choices and focus on what truly matters. This is why successful people often have consistent routines. They know that their willpower is finite and they protect it. Seneca once wrote that life is long if you know how to use it. Discipline ensures that your time is spent in ways that serve your deepest purposes. The seventh truth is that discipline allows you to say no with confidence. In a world full of distractions, the ability to say no is priceless. Without discipline, every temptation looks appealing. With discipline, you can recognize what is unworthy of your time and energy. This is not about being cold or detached. It is about protecting the life you are building. The eighth truth is that discipline turns goals into reality. Without discipline, even the most inspiring vision remains a fantasy. With discipline, even the most difficult dream can be achieved. This is why the Stoics spoke so much about action. They knew that thinking about virtue was not enough, you had to live it. If courage was your goal, you had to act with courage. If wisdom was your goal, you had to practice it in daily life. The ninth truth is that discipline is contagious. When you live with discipline, you inspire others, not by preaching, but by example. People will see your consistency, your steadiness, your ability to follow through, and they will be drawn to it. Your discipline becomes a silent encouragement for others to raise their own standards. And the 10th truth is that discipline, once internalized, feels like freedom. You are no longer controlled by your impulses. You can trust yourself to follow through. You know that your life is moving in a direction you have chosen, not one dictated by chance. This is why Epictetus could say that even as a slave, he was freer than many emperors because no one could control his mind or his choices. If you want to turn discipline into freedom, start today. Choose one area of your life where you have been drifting and commit to a small, consistent action. Do it not because it is easy, but because it is worth it. Over time, you will discover that discipline is not a cage. It is the key that unlocks the life you were meant to live. If you have listened this far, chances are you already understand the power of discipline in your own life. The question is whether you will act on it. Think of one decision you can make today that will move you closer to the person you want to be. Then make it and keep making it until it becomes part of who you are. Living each day as if it were your last, without fear, without regret. The Stoics had a way of stripping away the noise of life and bringing us face to face with the only reality that matters. Time is slipping away. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who could have filled his days with endless distractions, wrote to himself, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This was not meant to inspire fear, it was meant to inspire urgency. Because when you live with the awareness that each day could be your last, you stop wasting your life on things that do not matter. Most of us live as if we have an unlimited supply of tomorrows. We postpone our dreams, we put off important conversations, we delay taking action on what matters. We convince ourselves that there will be a better time, a safer time, a more convenient time, but that better time rarely comes. Seneca warned against this illusion when he wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." The truth is, life is long enough for those who use it well, but painfully short for those who squander it. Living each day as if it were your last does not mean living recklessly. It does not mean ignoring the future or abandoning responsibility. The Stoics were not advocating for impulsive indulgence. They were calling for purposeful living. It is about living in such a way that if the day ended tonight, you would feel at peace with how you spent it. It is about aligning your time with your values so deeply that you do not feel the need to escape from your own life. The first step to this habit is presence. Most people are so caught up in the future or trapped in the past that they are not truly living in the present. Presence means fully engaging with whatever is in front of you. If you are with a loved one, be with them completely, no phone, no wandering mind. If you are working on a project, give it your full attention. The Stoics valued this kind of focus because they knew it was the only way to truly experience life. The second step is courage. Living as if today were your last requires the courage to act now, not later. It means making the phone call you have been avoiding. It means saying the words you have been too afraid to say. It means taking the first step toward the life you want, even if you cannot see the entire path ahead. Courage is what transforms awareness of mortality into meaningful action. Without courage, the awareness only becomes a source of anxiety. The third step is letting go of trivialities. When you remember that time is finite, the little irritations lose their power. The rude driver, the minor inconvenience, the petty argument, none of it matters when weighed against the reality that life is slipping away. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself not to be distracted by what was insignificant. The same is true for us. Focus on what is worth your energy and release what is not. The fourth step is gratitude. If today were your last, what would you be thankful for? The answer to that question should not be reserved for rare moments. It should be a daily practice. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present, and that shift changes how you experience life. Even in hardship, there is always something to appreciate. The Stoics practiced gratitude as a way to anchor themselves in reality and guard against bitterness. The fifth step is forgiveness. Life is too short to carry resentment. If you were leaving tomorrow, would you want to go with a heart full of grudges? Forgiveness is not about excusing wrongs. It is about freeing yourself from the weight of them. The Stoics believed in controlling what is within your power, and resentment is something you can release at any moment. Letting go clears the space for peace. The sixth step is contribution. When you live as if today were your last, you naturally ask, what am I leaving behind? Contribution is not limited to grand achievements. It can be as simple as leaving people better than you found them. A kind word, a moment of patience, an act of service. All of these leave ripples that extend far beyond your lifetime. The seventh step is self-honesty. If today were your last, would you be proud of how you have lived, or would there be things you wish you had done differently? This question can be uncomfortable, but it is essential. The Stoics did not avoid uncomfortable truths. They used them as fuel for change. If there is a gap between the life you are living and the life you want, let that awareness guide your choices starting now. The eighth step is joy. Yes, joy. Living each day fully means allowing yourself to experience moments of lightness and laughter, even in a serious life. The Stoics were not grim. They believed in appreciating beauty, savoring simple pleasures, and enjoying the gift of existence. Joy is not a distraction from the seriousness of life. It is part of what makes life worth living. When you combine presence, courage, gratitude, forgiveness, contribution, self-honesty, and joy, you create a life that is both intentional and fulfilling. You stop chasing meaningless distractions and start cherishing what is real. You stop delaying your dreams and start living them now. The truth is, none of us know how many days we have left. But we do know this: the only day we can live is today. The only moment we can act in is this one. The Stoics understood that the measure of a life is not in its length, but in its depth. And depth is something you can choose every single day. So live today as if it were your last, not in panic, not in recklessness, but in peace. Do what matters. Love deeply, forgive quickly, learn constantly, and leave nothing unsaid that would bring more truth, more kindness, more meaning into the world. If you have listened this far, you are already among the few who understand that life is too short to live on autopilot. The question is, what will you do about it? Will you wait for the right time, or will you decide that the right time is now? The answer will shape not only your life, but the legacy you leave behind. If you have listened this far, chances are you are like me, no longer willing to live a life that just drifts by. Take a moment to reflect on the last 3 decisions you have made. Did they move you forward or hold you back? Answer this question in the comments below. No one else can answer it for you. And your future begins the moment you decide to act, even if it is just a small step. If you found this video helpful and meaningful, please consider sharing it. You never know, it might just change someone's life who really needs it. And remember to subscribe to the channel to receive the latest notifications.
If this message stirred something in you, don't let it fade. Write one thing down that you'll start doing this week. 2025 doesn't magically change anything you do. And your future begins the moment you decide to move, even just a little.